Okay, we are getting there. We're almost done. Okay, so I'm back in the fabric kit again, and now I'm going to pull out these fat quarters, these 3, and I'm going to press them. Actually, you can see it a little bit better there. There we go. I'm going to press them, get all the creases and wrinkles out, and get those ready to cut. And then that literally leaves these few pieces left. We got the black polka dot, the gray, the check, and some solids, and then we will be done cutting. All right. Okay, so let's get these fat quarters pressed out, and I'll meet you right back here, and we will cut these. Okay, you are almost done cutting all your fabric for this quilt. It's been a lot of work, but you're almost done. Okay, you've got this. We're on the tail end. We only have 5 more fabrics to cut. All right, so these are the big pieces. We're going to start easy. We're going to go with F58 and 59, which are going to be these two right here. All right, and then we'll go back and we'll do the light gray dot, F8, and then we'll tackle the two largest ones, F1 and F25 at the end. Okay, so let's go ahead and actually I'm going to give these three a press. So we're going to do F58, F59, and F8 first. So I'm going to press these out and let's get started cutting these last 5 pieces. You got this. Okay, so we got the pressing done. Now let's start cutting. I'm going to work on F58 first. My little sticky notes so I don't get confused. Okay, so F58 is where I'm going to start, which is this plaid. And this one's going to be a little unique because we're going to do 3-inch wide by the width of the fabric. Okay, if you're doing the block by block method with me, make sure that they're 3-inch wide cuts because they're highlighted in blue. If you're going to do the standard quilting, then you can make them a 1/2 inch shorter. All right, so we don't have to spread this fabric all the way out to make these because the cuts are going to be by the width of the fabric. So you can very gently line up the fabric with each other. And I always do it on the left because I'm right-handed, but if you're left-handed, you would probably line it up on the right side. So I've got these lined up nicely, and I need to move my mat around because the fabric is a little bit taller than my cutting mat. So I'm just going to slide that around. So now I'm cutting on this longer edge. Hopefully, yeah, you can still see it. Okay. And you've got a little bit of a cushion, but not too much here. So let's see exactly what we're dealing with. Let me grab my longer ruler. So I just want to see where I'm looking at. Okay, so this is going to be lined up nicely with 3 inches, 1, 2, and 3. Okay, so then I've got 1, 2, 3. Okay, that's cut 1, 1, 2, 3, cut 2, 1, 2, 3, cut 3, 1, 2, 3, cut 4. So I've got about 1.5 inches left over. So I'm going to allow a little bit of a cushion on the left to allow for any unevenness. I'm going to go ahead and cut this at my 3 inches, and then I will come over here and trim this up. So it's a perfect 3-inch wide strip. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, double check. 1, 2, 3. And yep, 3 by width of fabric. Okay, so here we go. Let's do this. All right. My blade is getting a little dull, so I'm going to have to put a new blade in it very soon. So I'm going to put this over, and I want to make this right on 3 inches. Okay. There we go. Then I'm just going to trim off this excess here. Okay, we got it, except for one little spot here. I may need a new blade sooner than I think. There we go. Okay, so now I've got a 3-inch wide with the fabric, and I'm going to go ahead and put that aside. Here we go. And now I can cut these pretty quickly. Just 3 inches, 1, 2, 3, all the way across the board. Here we go. There we go. What I was trying to say is these Quilter Select rulers are really nice because they have a non-stick coating on the back that literally will grab onto the fabric and will hang onto it. So you don't have to put as much pressure on it as you normally would to make a cup, which is very nice. Not sponsored or anything by them. I just love their rulers. Okay. All right. So this is going to be our 4 strips, and then this is for the border. So I can mark that one off as done. We got the border. So now let's go to the black one, and we're going to do 2.5-inch strips by the width of the fabric. Same technique, just 2.5 inches wide. Okay, so put that aside. That's for the binding. Okay, so now we're going to work on this gray, which is F8. Like I said, it's basically like what we've done before. It's just a bigger piece. So we're going to cut 10.5 inch by 14, 10.5 by 10.5, and these smaller pieces. So I'm going to fast forward through that one because you know how to do this, and I'll meet you right back here when it's done. Okay, so now we are going to do this piece right here, F25. If you see here, this whole piece is going to be split basically in half. We're going to have a 26 inch by 42, and then we're going to have a 26 by 25 and the 3 other pieces. But I want to go ahead after I press this out, and I want to measure the entire width of this piece of fabric to make sure that I do have that 54 inches. And if I have a little bit extra on this side, I'm going to go ahead and cut this piece in half, whether it's 27 and 27 or 26 and a half and 26 and a half, to allow me a little bit extra on these 2 pieces, because this is going to be our backing. Okay, you see it there? All right, so let's go ahead and press this fabric out and measure it and see how wide it is. Okay, so I laid it out the different direction. This is normally what you would get off the bolt, with the crease being on this side and the open ends being on this side. Okay, and this is how it's spun on the bolt. So I'm looking at this, and this is 24, 25, just barely 26 inches. Okay, so I just have enough of this cut. So what I need to do is I need to cut it on this folded crease right here. That will give me exactly half. The other direction has enough. Let me fold it in half and measure it for the 42 inches. So if I go this way, it's 22 with the salvage. So it's roughly 21 times 2 is 42. Okay. So I have just enough. I have no extra on my piece whatsoever. So I have to be really careful when I cut, because I need the 52 inches. I said 54 earlier. It's 52 because it's 26 and 26. So that's 52 inches that I need. All right. So, oops, my sticky notes here. So this large piece right here, what you need is if you have a large table to lay it out on, is you need to spread the whole thing out and cut it in half so that you will end up with a 26-inch piece and a 26-inch piece. All right. Leave this one piece here, 26 by 42, in one big piece, because that's going to be for your backing. Then cut this other side 26 by 25. Then you have the ability to cut those extra 3 pieces. All right. That's what you need to do. Then also, if you're doing the block by block, don't forget to cut these as 9 inches by 9 and 5 inches by 9, because they're highlighted in blue. Okay. So that's what we need to do. So go ahead and cut this piece, and I'll meet you right back here. So now I'm left, get this one out of the way, with the piece that I can subcut. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to do it in reverse. Instead of cutting that 25 inch, or sorry, where is it? It is, 25 inch by 26 inch. I'm going to subcut these little guys right here on the edge, and that'll leave me even a little bit more extra in between. See what I'm saying? So instead of cutting this piece out first and then cutting these right next to it, I'm basically bumping these up to an edge, and I'm going to cut those pieces out, and then all the extra that's here is going to be attached to here. So I have a little bit more cushion when I do my backing. Okay, so just move those up and then leave that excess next to this large piece. Okay, let's do that. this page is done. Put that aside. All right, are you ready? You have one piece left, and that is this beautiful ivory, which is labeled F1. Okay, you can do this. This is the biggest piece, but it's the same technique that you have done all the other times except for these with the fabrics, where you're going to press your fabric out, you're going to spread it all out, and you're going to cut it in strips. Again, go left to right. So the first one, you're going to cut 7.5 inches wide all the way up. Then you're going to cut 3 inches wide, 3 inches wide, 6.5 inches wide. This one, I would go ahead and cut 6.5 inches wide. Then this one, I would do the little 10.5 by 8.5, and then I would go 4.5 inches wide. Then subcut those strips into these sections. You've got this. This is the last piece. It's the biggest, but it's the same technique. So it's really as easy as the smaller strips. You just need to go one at a time, and you got this. So one other mention on this one, make sure you have this piece of fabric in the direction where it's 35 inches across and 40 inches tall. So this, even though I have the fabric folded in half, is going to give me, it's actually 44 inches long. And I have, I think, exactly 35 inches going across. So just make sure you have your fabric in that direction. Okay, so let's fast forward through and let's cut our last piece of fabric. You did it. You finished. And now your basket should look something like this. Look at all of these amazing fabrics that have all been put, oops, little wrinkle there, put in their pouches. Look at all these. Just amazing. You did it. This was a big project, but you took it step by step. You made it through all of the way so that we have all of these amazing, amazing fabrics in their home. So you did it. Okay, all the fabric is cut. Now we've got two things left to do. Let's get this out of the way. It's gotten heavy with all that fabric. Is we're going to talk about the embellishments. Okay, Kimberbell has instructions for cutting out the embellishments. I recommend not cutting them out. If you were to cut them out, Kimberbell has a similar cutting diagram for them. I found that there's a cushion that they allow for each piece, which is great, but there's a lot of waste in these embellishments that occurs. So what I do is I don't cut any of these embellishments. Then when we get to each block, I will tell you which embellishment to pull out, and I will show you how to position it so that you're literally maximizing the amount of items or embellishments or accents that you can get out of each and every piece in this embellishment kit. There's actually been a couple embellishment kits where I have enough that I could do 2 projects because I do not pre-cut the embellishments. I just line it up to where it needs to go as we make the projects. So you're really maximizing these. So I highly recommend just setting this aside for now. Okay. So with that, I actually put it in the back of my bucket there, my basket. So the next thing we have to come out is Fusible for these background pieces. Okay. So what I'm first going to do is I'm going to make a list of the sizes that I need in the background. I cut all of my Fusible out at the same time. Okay, so let me write those down and I'll show you what I mean. Okay, so I've got my list, and what I basically did was I went through here, and if it had a yellow highlight for a background, I went ahead and wrote a list down in size order. Then I referenced the bag number that the background fabric piece is in. So now I can have my list where I have everything in size order, and I can see, all right, my 8x3s, I'm going to need 4 cuts of those. My 7x7s, I'm going to need 4 cuts. My 3x4s, I need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 cuts. Versus having to go through here and go, what size is this? What size is this? I put it all in size order. So now I can try to maximize the amount of Fusible that I can get out and not have as much waste. Now you're probably wondering, well, this list will show at 8.5 by 10.5 and you show at 8 by 10. Right. What I've known from my previous experience in doing Kimberbell projects is this size here is the size of the fabric. So say it says 6.5 by 8.5. Okay. That's the full size of the fabric. You can cut your Fusible the same size. That's no problem. But if you really want to try to minimize the amount of waste that you have, you can go down 1/2 inch. So instead of being 6.5 by 8.5, you can make it a 6 by 8. Reason being is the edges of the fabric are outside the tack down line. Okay, you've got at least 1/2 inch there that Kimberbell has calculated so we can tack down the fabric, and then all the embroidery is going to be on the inside of that fabric. You're not actually going to embroider to the edge. Okay, so you can actually bring it in up to 1/2 inch and not affect any of the benefits of the Fusible, which is to prevent puckering, because your embroidery is not going to go to the edge. your embroidery is going to be inside that tack down line that we do. So my fusible that I use is Paylon 860F. It's an ultra weft, all right, and it comes in a 20-inch wide piece. So all of my calculations, I know that I want to do down into 10s. I don't want to do 10.5 because I'm not going to have enough to maximize to go across, but I know if the block is 8.5 by 10.5, I cut it down to 8 by 10. I am going to have plenty of fusible to put on the back of that fabric to support the embroidery area, not to the edge, and it's going to fit nicely in my 20-inch wide piece because I can cut it exactly in half, will be 10. So it works with my fusible that I have. If you have a roll from Kimberbell, you can do your calculations based on whether you have like a 12-inch roll or a 20-inch roll or a 10-inch roll. But if you lower your size by that 1/2 inch, I think you'll get a lot more out of your fusible, and you're not going to jeopardize any of the stitching, like I said, because that extra amount is going to be outside the tack down line. So you're going to be fine. And that's my experience in doing the Kimberbell project. So that's what I'm going to cut all of my fusible to be. All right. So get your fusible out, make your list, and then cut your pieces just like you would cut any fabric, and put your pieces in the bags as you go. If you've done it numerically, when I cut that 10 by 14, I'll stop and I will put it in bag 18. I'll cut my 10 by 6, I'll put it in bag 19, and when I cut my 8 by 6s, one each will go in bags 8, 9, 10, 3, and 11. See the system? So then all we have left to do in this video is to put these fusible pieces onto the fabric. So we are almost ready to stitch. Let's fast forward through this, and I'll meet you back here when I've done all of my fusible cutting, and I'll show you how to fuse the back of your fabric. Okay, one little trick. I need another 8x3, and I have these scraps from another cut that are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 inches long. They're only 2 inches wide, but together they're 4. That would equal that, give me more than enough for 3. So I can use these 2 scraps, and I will fuse them together in the same block and not waste anything. So just heads up, if you have leftover scraps, don't forget to look at them, because you might be able to put 2 together and make one of these that you need. How about that? All right, let's keep going. You did it! You've got all of your fusible pieces cut and ready to attach. So now I'm going to take my cutting mat off the table and get my ironing station set up, and I will show you how to fuse the fusibles to the back of your fabrics. Okay, we're almost done with the fabric prep, and then the next video we'll start to stitch, and that's when the real fun comes into play. So you are almost there. Okay, so the first thing I want you to do is go through your pouches, and now you can just easily pull out the very first pouch that you have that has a fusible in it and is marked with a sticky note and a clover clip saying background fabrics. Okay, So I'm going to go ahead and pull out that one background fabric and put the rest up. And I will put this number 2 off to the side, okay? Because I now want to keep track that this piece of fabric belongs in bag or pouch number 2. This is to everything. There is a season. I don't want this to accidentally get put into a different folder, okay? So get a pressing sheet. Whatever style you have is fine. You just want to protect your iron from this. And now I want you to turn the fabric right side down. So the back side of the fabric is facing upwards. Very important. Right side of the fabric facing down. The back side of the fabric faces up. Okay. So now you're going to take a look at your Fusible. Depending on what type that you have, you should have a smooth side and a rough, or what I call the glue side. That's where the glue is going to be. So you want to put the glue side facing the back of your fabric, because what do you want it to adhere to? You want it to adhere to the back of the fabric. Okay? And see what I did here when I cut my Fusible just a little bit smaller? I just center it. I'm not going to center it over the selvage here because it doesn't need to be on that. And I can just easily put it into place. So it's centered on the fabric. Mind you, remember I told you the embroidery is not going to go to this 1/4 inch on the side. If you cut it 1/2 inch shorter, you're only going to be short 1/4 inch on the side. The embroidery and the quilting is going to be in here. Okay, the tack down stitch is probably going to be where my fingers go, here and here. So it totally supports the embroidery, and you got more cuts out of your Fusible. Okay, so if it's a little wrinkled back here, that's okay. I'll put it down. Then I put my pressing sheet on top. I will start with my iron on a medium setting, and I will test to see how this holds. It will differ depending on your brand of Fusible. Also, your Fusible, look on the package, should have instructions as to how long to put it down. But I'm going to show you a little trick if you don't have the package as to how we can gauge how much time we need to put the iron on. So I have it on medium setting to begin with, and I'm just going to put it here and count to 10. So that's 4, 1005, 1006, 7, 8, 9, 10. And I'm going to move it to the next section. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, etc., 6, etc., 7, 8, 9, and 10. And then I'm going to move it each time to a different spot on this. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I'm going to take it up and I'm going to test it. Okay, it's going to be very hot, but I can pull this off and I can pull the corner of the Fusible and it's still not stuck enough. See that? If it's peeling up. So now I'm going to put it back down and I'm going to do it for another 5 seconds on the same section. 4, 5. So that'll put us up to 15 seconds. 4, 5 in each section. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. Mind you, I haven't done the second half yet. I'm just testing it to see how long this is going to take. Now, it still needs to go on. Okay, we are good. All right. So what I'm probably going to do is now I'm going to put my iron up to high because I don't want it to take 20 seconds every time I have to go to a section, which is what it's taking right now. So if I put it on to high, I should be able to get it down to about 10 or 15 seconds. So let's go ahead and set this aside and let it cool down. Don't put it directly back into your pouch. Give it a chance to cool down. Okay, so let's go ahead and grab the next one, which in my case is number 3. It's the bike. So here we go. This is really easy. You could just put some music on and gently relax as you do this. Okay, this needs a background. Needs a little pressing first. Make sure everything's nice and flat so you don't press any wrinkles into this. Again, fabric, right side down, back side facing up. Feel your fusible. Find the glue side. Put the glue side facing down and spread it out. See, this is perfect. Lift it up a little bit. There we go. And flatten it all out. Nicely centered. Put your pressing sheet back on top and let's shoot for 15 seconds on this one. Okay, let's putting it up. That's perfect. So on my particular setup, my iron needs to be on high, and I need to use, with my pressing sheet, I need to put it on each section for 15 seconds, and it fuses it perfectly. Okay, and I'll set that one aside. This one should be cooled down enough now that I can go ahead and put it back into its pouch so that it stays where it belongs and it's all nice and fused and ready to go. Put that one back up. And I'm going to grab the next one. And now your project assignment is to do the exact same thing for all of the rest of the pouches that have a fusible in it. Alrighty, I'm going to get to work on this one and I will meet you back here when it's all done. Okay, we've got this last one to put up, number 65. And you did it! Woohoo! All of our fabrics are cut. All of the fusibles are cut. All the fusibles are fused to the back of the fabric. And we are ready to get stitching. So I'm going to put this back in my bucket. You did it. Everything is prepped and ready to go. Look at all this. Look at all the work you did. Look at all this. You did amazing. We have a couple empty ones here. That's okay. That's for the embellishments, which are the ones I selected not to cut. So we got a couple extra bags there. Not a big deal. Well, look at this. Look at this. This is amazing. You did it. Woohoo. Da-da. You did it. Okay, so now you are ready to stitch out this project. I am so proud of you. This was a lot of work and you did it. You persevered. You did it slow and steady and you got it all done. Super proud of you. You did great. So I hope you stay tuned. I can't stop looking at this. This is so much fun. Look at this. I hope you stay tuned here on Jolly Molly TV, where the next video in this series, we will start to stitch out the blocks. How fun. So until I see you next time, happy stitching. See you soon. Bye-bye.